Hi, I'm Chris Stirewalt, and it's time for Power Play. Now, Internet, we usually make you wait. We do make you wait. We make you talk about serious things with very serious people. But today you're not going to have that problem, or at least halfway. You know David Drucker from the Washington Examiner, who is a big deal. Your title is...
Senior correspondent
Vizier
to everything.
To everything. Senior correspondent of life. And he is not only one of the most dogged reporters covering Washington politics today, he's also one of the best dressed. So we thought we would have a counterpoint to that, which will be Charles Hurt. He is a columnist for the Washington Times and matches kind of today, and the Internet's grateful of... No? Medium. So, gentlemen, welcome. And here's the question. I read a piece in the New Yorker, which was the most, I can't quite call it unhinged, but it was frothy to the extreme about, it was by John Cassidy, and it was about Scott Walker, and it started out with a stipulation that said that he was an odious candidate for president. So now I want to just start with that Scott Walker is an odium, and now let's go on for all the ways that it's terrible. And what it reflected was something that I had not seen since really George W. Bush and the pinnacle of the serious Bush derangement. When we were in deep, Jonathan Chait wrote the piece that began, "I hate George W. Bush." And it was actually an apologia. It was actually designed to say, but we shouldn't get carried away with hating George W. Bush. What is it about Scott Walker that is triggering this kind of backlash? I mean, we're a year out from the primaries. He's doing pretty well in Iowa. But, David, what's the deal? Why is this sort of thing happening?
So, full disclosure, my wife advises Scott Walker, so, take that for what you will.
All right, take it.
Take it. Live with it. I think I certainly have to.
That's quite so.
And that's not that easy all the time.
Right.
Look, I think that the reason that Scott Walker bothers a lot of Democrats is because potentially he could be president. In other words, he's a real serious candidate with credibility. He is a governor of a bluish, purplish state.
Blue state.
He's won 3 races. He actually could unite the Republican Party, both the establishment and the Tea Party wings, therefore doing away with all of the frothy Republicans are divided and are going to kill themselves.
Well,
and I think that one of the reasons, and I love your Bush analogy, why did Democrats really hate Bush? Was it really because he couldn't put 3 sentences together all the time?
Right.
Not necessarily. It was because here's a guy who spoke Spanish, who could do well with Hispanic voters, who might be able to take the party beyond its comfort zone, and that bothered them.
So you've got to be viable to be hated, right? The Republicans don't hate Elizabeth Warren right now because she's not viable. Now, if she got viable, you'd watch that pivot. But Charles, you as a semi-bumpkin as I am, will acknowledge that I hope you'll acknowledge that there's some cultural resonance here. That you have a guy who is a preacher's kid, Baptist preacher's kid, didn't finish college. There is a attack of the low information, that people who are well-educated, erudite, and believe that there should be litmus tests for coming to the party, being an evangelical Christian, union-busting, non-college finisher is not exactly going to make them happy.
Yeah, and that's what we saw with the whole question about whether he believed in evolution, because, of course, this is the issue that is pressing on every American's mind today, and he blows it off. He blows it off because he knows it's pointless and nobody actually really gives a crap about it.
But later he had to, as Obama would say, true it up. He tweeted and said, "Well, there's nothing incompatible between my faith and science."
Yeah. But it's all of it is to me and to my mind, and I think to most people's mind, it reveals just how completely out of touch the media is. But yeah, I mean, on all these big issues, Democrats can't really make very good arguments about their positions on things. The only way that they win is by turning candidates into caricatures, and they successfully did it with George W. Bush, as you pointed out. They work very hard to do it with people like Ted Cruz. That's been their target all this time. They think that they can turn him into crazy juice, and now obviously they've been caught flat-footed because you have somebody who doesn't come off as crazy, who, as you point out, has done very well in a purple state and has actually gone after their bread and butter with unions, and now they're like, oh man, we got to turn this guy into a caricature.
Charles,
so that's what they're trying to do.
Charles Hurt's step band when he was in high school was also called Crazy Juice, just for the record. They're not going to like this.
I brewed Crazy Juice.
Right, you brewed Crazy Juice at home with prunes. They're not going to like this in the control room, but I want to get this take before we go, and it is this. If you are Walker, there is benefit, there is rocket fuel in that in the accusation, because when you try to create, it would seem to me that the narrative now is the Republicans will either nominate Jeb Bush, who is normal and sane, or one of these many insane people out here. So for Walker, that's good because conservatives rally to him. They say, don't attack him, and if you're attacking him, we must like him. But at a certain point, though, that level of scrutiny goes from rally around the flag to toxic asset, right?
That's correct. And I think that Scott Walker already has credibility with the party's base. He already has credibility with the governing wing of the party. So he doesn't actually have to do anything to create this sort of umbrella of support from the disparate wings of the party. And so what I would do if I were him, honestly, is kind of answer it's called killing him with kindness. You know, somebody wants to basically take a knife to you and you make it worse by smiling and saying, thank you, it's nice to meet you. If he just answers these ridiculous questions and moves on, they've really got nothing, and the level of being unhinged will really show itself, and he's better for it.
Is that correct?
Yes, and he needs to continue to attack the press at every turn because we really like
That's Charles's default position.
It makes us important.
That's right. That's Charles's default position. Please attack. Guys, thank you very much. Our position is we are grateful. And you, Internet, we are very grateful to you for enduring this. You're good sports. And we hope you will come back and check out another installment of Power Play very soon.